Since childhood, you've been fed the same poison. Someone will come. Help is on the way. Just hold on long enough, and everything will be okay. But what if I told you, no one is coming, not today, not ever. This isn't pessimism. It's liberation. Because the belief in rescue is what keeps you soft. It's what keeps you frozen. It's what makes you wait instead of move. Whispering to yourself that if you're just patient enough, someone, will arrive and fix the life you refuse to own. That belief is the leash around your neck. The weak man prays for rescue. The strong man kills the need to be saved. Understand this. Every day you wait for someone else to fix your mind, your habits, your situation, you rot. Not because the world is cruel, but because you surrendered your responsibility the moment you accepted the lie. No one owes you rescue. Not the government. Not your family. Not your partner. Not your God. Only you. And that's the truth most cannot bear. Because if you are your only chance, then your current life is your fault. And ownership feels like blame to the untrained. But I tell you this, the day you reject rescue is the day you begin to rise. You stop waiting. You start building. You stop apologizing. You start becoming. When I trained alone in the wild, I had no mentor, no map, no second chance. And that's why I sharpened faster than those who waited. Because pressure without rescue produces power. So ask yourself now, what pain are you avoiding because you're secretly hoping someone else will fix it for you? Destroy that hope. Burn the rescue fantasy. Because once it's gone, you are free to act without hesitation. And that man, he doesn't need saving. He saves himself. You think you're being wise. You say you're preparing, planning, aligning energy, getting ready. But what you're really doing is dying. Slowly, quietly, without a sound. Because waiting is just another form of death, the kind that doesn't take your body but your soul. Every minute you wait is a minute your fire cools. A minute your instinct dulls. A minute your edge gets softer. Until one day, there's nothing left to sharpen. The man who waits too long doesn't just lose time. He becomes the kind of man time forgets. I've seen it too many times. Warriors who had potential, fire, raw strength, but they waited. For clarity, for the right moment, for the fear to pass. And while they waited, life moved. Opportunities faded. Enemies advanced. The version of themselves they could have become vanished. Because the world rewards only one thing, movement. Even flawed, imperfect, unready movement. You will never be fully prepared. That's a myth sold by soft minds. You don't gain readiness by thinking. You gain it by acting. Action is the only cure for fear. The only antidote to weakness. So what are you waiting for? Motivation? Permission? A sign? You won't get one. Here's the truth. Life will not pause for your readiness. Growth will not slow for your excuses. Death will not delay for your delay. You either move now, or be buried beneath the weight of what could have been. Every second you hesitate, the old self grows stronger. Starve him. Kill him with action. Because waiting is just slow motion suicide. And you weren't born to die crawling. You were born to strike. You think you're being wise. You say you're preparing, planning, aligning energy, getting ready. But what you're really doing is dying. Slowly, quietly, without a sound. Because waiting is just another form of death, the kind that doesn't take your body but your soul. Every minute you wait is a minute your fire cools. A minute your instinct dulls. A minute your edge gets softer. Until one day, there's nothing left to sharpen. The man who waits too long doesn't just lose time. He becomes the kind of man time forgets. I've seen it too many times. Warriors who had potential, fire, raw strength, but they waited. For clarity, for the right moment, for the fear to pass. And while they waited, life moved. Opportunities faded. Enemies advanced. The version of themselves they could have become vanished. Because the world rewards only one thing, movement. Even flawed, imperfect, unready movement. You will never be fully prepared. That's a myth sold by soft minds. You don't gain readiness by thinking. You gain it by acting. Action is the only cure for fear. The only antidote to weakness. So what are you waiting for? Motivation? Permission? A sign? You won't get one. Here's the truth. Life will not pause for your readiness. Growth will not slow for your excuses. Death will not delay for your delay. You either move now, or be buried beneath the weight of what could have been. Every second you hesitate, the old self grows stronger. Starve him. Kill him with action. Because waiting is just slow-motion suicide. And you weren't born to die crawling. You were born to strike. You think the world cares. You think it notices your pain, your struggle, your effort. You think if you just explain yourself well enough, someone will understand, someone will reward you. But here's the truth, no one cares. And that's not a curse. That's freedom. Because once you accept that the world owes you nothing, you are free to become anything. No more waiting for validation. No more begging to be seen. No more hoping someone notices how hard you're trying. You stop performing, and you start becoming. I learned this early. When I was hungry, cold, bleeding, I looked around and realized no one is coming. No one is listening. And the silence wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. Because in that silence, you finally hear yourself. The weak man curses the silence. The warrior listens to it. You think you're invisible? Good. Now you don't have to prove anything. Now you move for your own code, not their praise. No applause? Perfect. Now you build in darkness. No comfort? Good. Now you learn to sharpen without soft hands holding yours. Here's the power in being ignored. You stop waiting. You start creating. You stop reacting. You start directing, asterisk asterisk. And soon the world that never cared starts watching. Not because you asked, but because you earned it. You want true power? Stop needing to be understood. Stop explaining your pain. Stop sharing every feeling. Stop waiting for someone to ask how you're doing. Tell yourself. Train yourself. Push yourself. Because the man who acts without an audience becomes unstoppable when the lights finally hit. And when they do, he doesn't blink. Because he's already won in silence. There's a lie that says if you become ruthless, you must become cruel. That to be sharp, you must be cold. That to be strong, you must be soulless. That's not power. That's corruption. True ruthlessness, the kind forged by warriors, is not chaos. It is clarity. It's the refusal to negotiate with weakness. It's the precision to cut away what no longer serves. And it's the discipline to move, even when the world begs you to pause. But you must never lose your honor. Honor is not softness. It is the line that keeps your fire from becoming wildfire. Ruthlessness without honor becomes destruction. Honor without ruthlessness becomes obedience. The warrior walks the line between both. I have killed. I have conquered. I have stood alone in battle, surrounded by silence and blood. But I never moved without purpose. I never struck from ego. And I never turned my blade on the innocent. Because a man who becomes powerful without principle is no longer a man. He is a beast. And the world already has enough beasts. You must become something rare. Something feared. Something respected. A man who will do what must be done, but never more than what is required. Be ruthless in your standards. Be ruthless in your self-talk. Be ruthless in cutting what weakens you. But be honorable in how you treat the powerless, the lost, the loyal. You don't have to scream to show strength. You don't have to crush others to climb. You just have to burn quietly enough to be felt by anyone who steps too close. Because when ruthlessness is tempered by honor, it becomes something terrifying, asterisk asterisk controlled power, asterisk asterisk. And that is the kind of man the world cannot touch. The world either bows to you, or tries to break you. And when you are ruthless with honor, they fail. You were raised on a lie. That one day, you'd be the hero. That you'd rise when it matters. That greatness would find you in a moment of crisis, and you'd finally become who you were meant to be. But heroes are not found. They are fabricated by those who want you waiting instead of working. You picture yourself saving the day, but you can't even save your morning. You see yourself making the final stand, but fold under minor stress. You dream of conquering mountains, but avoid hard conversations. That's not destiny. That's delusion. The hero fantasy is comforting. You never have to act. Never have to suffer. Never have to build. You just wait until life hands you the right moment. But that moment never comes. Because heroes are fiction. Warriors are real. And warriors are built through pain, repetition, blood, boredom, fire. I never dreamed of glory. I practiced for war. Alone. In silence. With no spotlight. No crowd. No script. That's the difference. The hero waits for a villain. The warrior trains for anything. The hero waits for motivation. The warrior moves by principle. The hero waits to be called. The warrior calls himself. So kill the hero inside you. Bury him. He's the reason you keep hesitating. The reason you keep fantasizing instead of becoming. The warrior doesn't dream. He decides. He doesn't expect applause. He expects resistance. He doesn't wait for the story. He writes it with scars. You're not a character. You are the author. So build rituals. Move early. Stay late. Master your weapon, whatever it is. And when the world hands you a battle, you won't rise into a role. You'll meet it as the man you've already become. You say you're waiting for motivation. But motivation is a ghost. It comes when you feel strong, and disappears the moment things get hard. It's not power. It's a trick. A fleeting surge that makes you feel ready, but leaves you empty the second life punches back. And praise? Another lie. You've been trained to move when someone claps. To only try when someone's watching. To only finish when someone says good job. You don't need motivation. You don't need praise. You need movement. Without it, asterisk. I never trained for approval. I trained when no one cared. I moved when no one saw. I bled without applause. Because the man who waits for recognition dies waiting. You want to know what makes you dangerous? Moving without mood. Acting without approval. Finishing without fanfare. This is what separates warriors from boys. Boys beg to be seen. Warriors move in silence. Boys need hype. Warriors create force from principle. You will never build an unshakable mind by relying on shaky emotions. So how do you move without motivation, praise, or reward? Build rituals, not goals. Commit to time, not feeling. Tie your identity to action, not outcomes. You train because you're a man who trains. You rise early because you're a man who rises. You finish what you start because unfinished work is weakness, and you refuse to carry it. And here's the truth most men avoid. Consistency without reward is the fastest path to power. Because when the world finally sees you, they'll wonder how you moved so far, so fast. And they'll never understand. Because they needed cheering. You just needed a reason. And that reason was simple. You're not like them. You move because you must. You think your laziness only affects you. You think your distraction, your softness, your endless need for comfort is a personal problem. It's not. It's an industry. Your weakness is not just a flaw. It's fuel. There are entire empires built on your inability to control your time, your appetite, your attention. People are getting rich because you can't say no. You binge. They profit. You scroll. They profit. You delay. They profit. You consume. They profit. This isn't conspiracy. This is capitalism, and you're the product. They don't need you dead. They just need you distracted, numb, passive, obedient, always reaching for another hit of cheap dopamine, never strong enough to walk away. And they love when you call it self-care. They love when you defend your bad habits, when you preach softness, when you reject discipline as toxic. Because now you're not just weak, you're proud of it. They've sold you weakness as identity. But I'll tell you the truth. Every time you fail to master yourself, you feed someone else's machine. You are either building your life or padding someone else's wallet. There is no neutral ground. Your weakness is monetized. Your misery is measured. Your indulgence is predicted. Your attention is auctioned. And if you don't take control, you are not living. You are being used. So what do? Audit every app, every input, every habit. Remove what feeds on your time without return. Make your focus expensive. Make your energy sacred. Starve the system that profits from your weakness. You are not free until your power can't be bought. And no one will hand that to you. You take it. Now. Ask less. Move more. You've been conditioned to seek permission before every step. You ask before you speak. Before you build. Before you decide. Before you act. And you wonder why nothing changes. Permission is the invisible cage that keeps men obedient. The world trains you to hesitate, to wait for green lights, to seek approval, to not offend, to not disrupt, to play nice. But greatness was never born through permission. The men you admire, the warriors, the builders, the leaders, they didn't wait. They acted, and the world respected them because they didn't ask. Understand this, no one will give you the life you want. Not because they're cruel, but because it's not their job. Asterisk. It's yours. When I walked the path of the sword, I didn't wait for someone to call me a warrior. I trained until the title became irrelevant. You want respect? Act. Not when it's convenient, but when it's right. Not when you're told, but when it's time. Not when you're applauded, but when you are alone. Speak your mind. Own your space. Take the risk. Build the thing. Confront the enemy. Stop asking for room. Take it. Because the world doesn't give power to those who beg. It yields to those who move with intent. And the man who acts without asking, he changes everything. Not because the world said yes, but because he never needed it. This is the end of the illusion. There is no cavalry, no savior, no hand reaching down to pull you out of this hole you built with your own hesitation. It's you, only you. That's not a burden. That's your liberation. Because once you stop waiting, you start becoming. Once you stop praying for a miracle, you begin making war. Once you stop hoping the pain will pass, you learn to fight through it. The man who rescues himself is the only one who walks free. You've wasted enough time hoping the world would see your potential. Enough energy trying to prove your worth to people who couldn't carry your weight for a day. Now it's time. Time to stop asking. Time to stop waiting. Time to stop performing. Time to build. Not with noise. Not with grand plans. But with ruthless, quiet motion. You want power? Then do the thing no one else is willing to do. Show up when no one claps. Keep going when no one sees. Finish when no one cares. That's how you become untouchable. Not because you are loved, but because you are earned. You are not here to be helped. You are here to be hardened. No more excuses. No more stories. No more delay. You either rescue yourself from the pit you've tolerated, or you stay there. Forever. Waiting. Rotting. Explaining. The choice is brutal. But it's simple. Be your own rescue. Or be nothing. Asterisk asterisk. And if that makes you angry, good. Use it. Because that fire in your chest, that's your new compass. Now move.